and talk a little bit about what might be happening within your clubs or organizations or your teammates. I think you each have a little different perspective on that.
Yeah, I can talk for CSU. As you know, Massachusetts had a very high number of COVID cases, so we have had a lot of virtual events, but not as many in-person ones. So we haven't been able to have these face-to-face conversations. But at the same time, one of our coaches, Kate Brahms, at the start of the George Floyd and Black Lives Matter protests, she put out a list of resources to help educate, and then also educate, find immediate ways to help, and then also ways to just sort of process all the different feelings that might have been coming up. And then also throughout the past couple weeks, we've had various emails and wellness sessions led by Miley Sapp, making sure that maybe not specifically focusing on the Black Lives Matter movement, but giving us all spaces to talk and process any feelings we've had. Again, we haven't had a lot of in-person activities, so it's made it harder to have those conversations like this. But from what we've done, I feel like we've done a pretty decent job.
Yeah, I'd say that there hasn't been a ton of formal discussion at Stratton. A lot of the discussion has just taken place during training sessions between teammates. A lot of the athletes at Stratton have a pretty big social media following, and some of them have taken a pretty big stand on social media platforms in support of Black Lives Matter and other movements, and kind of advocating their beliefs on that. And that was kind of something that I was struggling with a couple of weeks ago, was like, on a personal level, like I was not addressing it. I was seeing all these things online, and so I just made it a goal during a week to donate a little bit of money based on my training. So it was like for every foot climbed during the week, I was going to donate $1 to, I was going to donate $1 to Black Lives Matter. And so I ended up climbing like 27,000 feet that week. Donated $270, but it was just like something super simple that I had the privilege, I guess, of being able to do. But I guess there hasn't been a ton of formal discussion, but I've been pretty pleased, or very pleased with how the environment at Stratton and how people have kind of been willing to discuss some of this stuff. And I think that social media is definitely a powerful platform for sharing opinions. And I'm, happy with how people have been utilizing that, but yeah.
Here in Craftsbury, we have been, I would say the athletes have been very personally motivated to address this issue for our own benefit. I think many people have had similar feelings to me, that it's a challenge to address these issues when you live in a rural white community in a historically white sport. And we have an opportunity that I really value of having both the skiing and the rowing team here. And I really enjoy that difference of perspective, that while rowing is also a historically white sport, a lot of the rowers come from more urban areas, grew up rowing, oftentimes in a city somewhere. So they have a bit of a different experience than I do growing up in a white, more rural area in the sport that is white. So we've had some really good conversations as a group. We've had a few intentional group discussions and watched a film together and been to some of these local rallies. different groups of the athletes have been to 3 rallies that were really interesting, each one different, but including one right here in Craftsbury. We've had, a couple group discussions. One to begin with was motivated just by the athletes. We said we felt that we needed to make a statement as a team on this because it was an issue a lot of us were concerned about. And so we sat down and had a conversation with basically the whole team, both the rowing and skiing side. And that was a really good opportunity to start talking about these issues, figuring out how to talk about them, how to address them, learn some of people's different experiences growing up, as I was saying, like in a city versus some more of the skiers growing up in more rural areas, although not entirely. We have several skiers from Minneapolis, which, especially at this time with George Floyd's death and the riots in Minneapolis, obviously, as well as other places, but they had interesting perspectives as well. So I have really enjoyed discussing these issues with my teammates, also living in a house with the skiers. I've really enjoyed, we've had a lot of conversations, sharing podcasts, sharing videos and articles, books to generate discussion. I think a lot of us have been trying to learn a lot and have been somewhat successful in that and are continuing to try to dig deeper and learn more and find ways to maximize our impact, which has been really great and helpful to have that community to discuss these issues with.